Hey everybody, what is going on? Hexlex here with another Master Duel video for you guys. So today we have some more Duelist Cup action. We are using the same Prank-Kids Adventure build that we were using towards the beginning of the Duelist Cup. Now as we are coming towards the end of the first stage here, we are, still, like I said, using the same build as I've had a lot of success with it in the past. And in the past couple of days I've had some, I'm not gonna lie, some pretty good games that I'm pretty excited to show you guys here. Particularly a nice going second game. I know a lot of people have been requesting, more like going second games and showing how to play through like a going second hand. And I do try to make an effort to try to get as many good, especially going second games as possible. It's just that unfortunately a lot of the time, like, and this kind of goes for going first games too, like the majority of the games, like you kind of just like, you summon a prank kid and they concede, or like, you max C, you activate max C and they concede, or like, no, you're not like that dramatic, but like, you ash whatever the right target and then they concede. And obviously those are not games that are very conducive to viewing. So I do try to pick out some good games. I did pick out, like I said, some pretty good ones that we're going to see here, especially the first one we're going to show off. But yeah, I do actually plan to make a, or not plan to, I guess I don't have definitive plans, but I would very much like to make a going second. I did make a going second video, but that was like way back in like season 1, I think, even maybe 1 or 2, but that could definitely be, that's another video that could definitely use an update for sure. So yeah, I will definitely be curating more games like that in the future, don't you guys worry. Yeah, otherwise, like I said, I'm just kind of plan to continue to use Adventure Prank Kids until I reach the max level, which will probably be like one more video. Will be, by the time I get to the max level, it'll be one, I guess, video from now's worth of games, if that makes any sense. That probably doesn't make sense to anybody but me, but I can feel myself rambling at this point. So why don't we just go ahead and break down the deck list here, and then we'll go ahead and take a look at those games. So we are playing 2 Prank-Kids Fansies, 3 Maxx C, 3 Prank-Kids Dropsies, 3 Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, 2 Prank-Kids Lampsies, 2 Water Enchantress of the Temple, 1 Destiny Hero Celestial, 1 Prank-Kids Rocksies, 1 Destiny Hero Dasher, 1 Wandering Gryphon Rider, 1 Nibiru the Primal Being, 1 Foolish Burial, 2 Fusion Destiny, 2 Rite of Aramesir, 1 Dracoback the Rideable Dragon, 3 Prank-Kids Place, 1 Prank-Kids Pranks, 1 Fateful Adventure, 2 Called by the Grave, 1 Prank-Kids Pandemonium, 2 Crossout Designator, 2 Forbidden Droplet, and 2 Infinite Impermanence is going to round out the main deck at exactly 40 cards. I do very much like having 40 cards. Consistency, I think I've always said, is this deck's biggest strength, and I think being at 40 cards is definitely a large part of that. Down here in the extra deck, we've got 1 Prank-Kids Rocket Ride, 1 Destiny Hero Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer, 1 Prank-Kids Battle Butler, 1, what is it here? Totally Awesome. 2 Link Spider, 2 Prank-Kids Meow Moo, 2 Prank-Kids Dodo Do, 1 Prank-Kids Bow Wow Bark, 1 Predaplant Verte Anaconda, 1 Knightmare Unicorn, 1 Prank-Kids Rip Roar and Roaster, and then finally 1 Accesscode Talker. Alright, so now that we have established the list here, yeah, which again, I am still very much liking like the kind of minimal, I guess Dropsies we still have 3 of, obviously, because of Totally Awesome, but I like the kind of minimal copies of the other Prank Kids in 3 place. I do kind of want to fit in, like, I think in an ideal world I would have, like, that's still 3 more spots to put in, like, an additional copy of each of the other Prank Kids, and I honestly don't think we can, obviously without cutting down on, like, places, which again I do like. I don't know that we really have the room for it, but anyway, that's just more me, like, theory crafting out loud. Let's go ahead and take a look at these games. Okay, so like I said earlier, this first game is one that I'm pretty eager to show off here because, yeah, like I said, this is going to be a going second game where we don't necessarily open the best hand. It's like a decent hand for going second. I think we opened Ash and, yeah, Droplet. So Ash and Droplet, but when it comes to going second, like, beggars definitely can't be choosers, right? That should be enough to get us at least, some amount of disruption for our opponents. So they can't do just about anything they want, but, well, we'll have to see. So doing some fairly standard adventure stuff here at the start. I'm going to wait for them to try to add the Gryphon Rider to Ash Blossom. Ideally, I would like to use the Ash Blossom on like a more like combo-centric, like, well, obviously a combo piece, but obviously the problem with letting the adventure resolve and not using the Ash is they get a Gryphon Rider, which can then negate the Ash later. So it's kind of like a damned if you do, damned if you don't kind of a thing. So they are going to normal summon an Ash and then go for the Hulk. I guess at the very least the Jet Synchron came out of the hand, but That's not going to be too much solace here as the opponent proceeds into their Hulk Dawn combo. At this point, I don't know. Yeah, we're still not sure if it's Adventure Tenny or Adventure Pile. Could very much be either. We're hoping for the Pile because the Adventure Tenny build does seem to put out slightly better boards, and it does look to be a pile rather. For those who don't know what I mean by a pile, I mean it's an adventure engine based deck that just kind of has like a bunch of good cards. So because it's a pile of 40 good cards, I call it a pile deck, but still very capable of putting out good boards. And it looks like they're specifically going for the True King of All Calamities, the VFD, very fun dragon board as they bring out the Coral Dragon. I'm just seeing, okay, they're making a 9, they're making the Ravenous Croco Dragon. It seems pretty clear they're going for the, like I said, the True King of All Calamities, but it's actually not as bad here as it would be against, like, say, Virtual World, because they're not going to have the Virtual Gate Chuchi, which is a lot of what makes VFD very powerful in that deck, is that they're able to dodge negates like Droplet and Imperm, unless you happen to have both, to get around that and still let the effect resolve. And then obviously the Shen, like the opponent is going to use here anyway, will end up coming back during the next turn to act as a sort of recurring threat, in addition to the True King of All Calamities providing a threat as well. Opponent doesn't have anything else. We definitely like to see that. And we've got the Droplet already, and we just drew the Emperor on top of it. So funnily enough, even if we were actually playing against like Virtual World here, we still would have had the out. But very rare that happens, honestly. In any case, it's nice not to have to use Droplet here. We can just use this Imperm we peeled off the top. So that still doesn't quite solve the problem of us like not having any Prank-Kids based plays, but I'm still going to use the Foolish for the Water Enchantress here. Excuse me. The Water Enchantress is going to be vital here in order to end up setting a DPE, which is what I want to ultimately do here. Also, I want to special summon this so that I can get the Draco back before then I go to add the Wandering Gryphon Rider. They are going to have an Ash, which I kind of suspected was the case. Given that they normal summoned an Ash, it kind of seemed like they probably had 2, just kind of based on that. So, I mean, it's very easily that they couldn't have, and they just need to make plays either way. But, yeah, they do have the other Ash here, so it's fine. I'll still equip the Draco back to bounce and deal 3,500 damage here. I could have saved the Draco back and just made a DPE, popping DPE and the VFD, but I wanted to get the damage in, and also now I can use the DPE to pop the Fateful Adventure on the opponent's board, leaving them with fewer options and resources to play within their next turn. So yeah, definitely not. And besides, it's just a Draco back. I'm not too fussed about losing it here. I think, again, inflicting 3,500 damage and then getting the opportunity to pop the Fateful Adventure is worth losing out on the Draco back there. And of course setting the Droplet for good measure as well. And then, yep, the DPE comes back during the standby phase. I believe the opponent's going to lead with, what is it, like a Lightning Storm here? No, Harpy's Feather Duster. Well, basically outs to our back row. So we do lose that on our Droplet. A little bit annoying, but not that big of a deal. They're going to activate the Rite of Aramesir, and since I know they have a Draco back in their hand still, I'm going to want to pop this token right away so they don't have an opportunity to bounce the DPE. I guess technically I should have waited for them to equip it so that way they didn't have it in hand. Maybe they could use it as a discard for a potential effect, but that's kind of niche. I'm wasn't really too concerned about it. So they will get the Shen back and run over my Verte Anaconda, and then actually normal summon a Veiler and go for Baron, which is a little bit unexpected, but not that big of a deal. If I top deck a Prank Kid, I'm pretty reasonably confident in my ability to out the opponent's board, as either the DPE or the Prank Kid, one or the other, can trigger the Baron negate, and then I can use the other effect to continue my plays. So I do top deck a Lampsies. That's very nice. I'll special summon it with a Dasher before bringing back the DPE. I'm going to use the Celestial Heal, but first I actually want to use the Water Enchantress effect in order to grab the Rite of Aramesir out of my deck, just so I don't draw it with the Celestial draws here. Celestial draws, I'm not looking for anything in particular. I mean, I already have the ability to lethal my opponent with what I have on board anyway, so yeah, I just kind of end up drawing a Maxx and a call by, which don't really do much, but that's okay. My plan here is to, use the Lampsies to go into Meow Meow Moo. I'm pretty sure my opponent's going to use Baron to negate Lampsies. That's totally fine. I'm just going to then use DPE to pop a card and their Baron. I think what I'm actually going to do, just for a little bit of because it's the optimal play, and also for some, extra juiciness on top, I'm going to actually activate Call By and banish their Shen, and then pop the Call By with the DPE. that way ensuring if even they somehow still had an out, which I know they don't, their only card left in hand is Dracoback, that at the very least I've outed their entire board. Was it a little bit extra? Yes, but you know, it wasn't too showy. Just wanted to, I guess, kind of rub it in, maybe just a little bit, I will admit. But yeah, no, so yeah, like I said, I really wanted to show that game off because it's a very good example of how, one, we went second, two, even though we had the Ash, they were still able to do their full combo, so we went second playing into a combo that did result in a pretty decent threat. And three, we didn't even really have like a Prank-Kids line, so to speak, in order to then make our plays with. So it was lucky of us to draw the Imperm, but we did also already have the Droplet in hand, so I feel like that luck was a little bit negligible. So yeah, just wanted to show a very solid going second game with this deck. All right, let's go and take a look at the next game. Okay, so this one is not like a going second game per se, but it is definitely like one of the, actually probably just the most like back and forth game I've had in the Duelist Cup so far. It was a pretty wild game, and I feel like both of us had to be like running really low. I mean, I knew I was running low on my timers. I think by the time the game was over, I had like 50 some seconds left, but I can't imagine how many my opponent must have had. Anyway, we're gonna lead with a place. This looks like to be a very solid like 2 Prank-Kids line kind of a hand, right? That being the line that can end on like Rip Roar and Roaster. So oh, but I think I accidentally went into the one. Well, I guess we'll continue to watch the game. I'm just trying to remember how this one went. I feel like for some reason I didn't actually go for the 2 Prank-Kids line. Okay, so they don't have anything so far. Oh, no, I did. Okay, I'm adding the Pandemonium. I must be thinking of a different game. I shouldn't try to predict, you know, if I don't know. I should just wait for the game to play out. But yeah, no, so we're going for the 2 Prank-Kids line using the Pandemonium to fuse the Lampsies and the Rocksies into Rocket Ride. That will then allow us to summon, of course, 2 Prank-Kids. We'll use those to go into the Bow Wow Bark, link the Bow Wow Bark and the Doodle Do into a Rip Roar and Roaster. Then we can use the Rocket Ride to bring back that Doodle Do and Bow Wow Bark, sack the Doodle Do to get back the Pandemonium, and then one of our Prank-Kids and the other 2 during the next turn with Bow Wow Bark. That sets us up for a Butler while also getting the Rip Roar and Roaster online as well. So definitely the ideal play you want to do there when you get 2 Prank-Kids monsters in your opening hand. And it's funny, yet despite getting such a solid opening, this game does actually, like I said, tend to go on for, or not tend to, but will end up going on for a decent bit here. Alright, like I mentioned, yep, there's the Dodo Do effect. We're going to get back Fansies and the Pandemonium, but we already have a Lampsies in hand, so we just need to get a Dropsies next turn with the Bow Wow Bark, which we will activate during the opponent's draw phase, and it does not look like they have a response. We'll just get back into their Lampsies anyway, because why not? And now we're set up again with not only the Rip Roar and Roaster, but the ability to battle Butler during the opponent's turn. They're going to leave the Cyber Emergency. I'm going to chain Pandemonium just because I like to chain it usually as early as I can in the main phase 1. Just want to make sure that we have the Battle Butler online by the time we like actually want to use the effect, and that way we're not awkwardly having to use Pandemonium in response to the effect we really, or the summon or whatever, that we really want to use the Battle Butler against. So yeah, this game is actually going to be against Drytron, which is, have not seen this deck, like, God, I don't even remember that. Well, I had to be like, was it really since Season 5? It might be since Season 5, maybe once or twice since then, if that, have I seen Drytron. I feel like at least once, but, this deck is definitely a ghost of the past, that's for sure. We definitely don't see it too often anymore, but that definitely does not make it any less threatening as a result. I think Drytron is probably still a solid Tier 3 deck. I just don't know that it sees the representation to actually be placed in Tier 3. Well, it definitely doesn't according to like Master Duel meta, but I think even in general, I think people are just really that sick of Drytron, maybe, I don't know, but if not Tier 3, it's definitely a rogue deck, but I think you could make an argument for being like lower to mid Tier 3, potentially. In any case here, yeah, the opponent is just doing hashtag just Drytron things. I'm kind of waiting for them to get their Xyz online before I battle Butler, but them adding that Orange Herald is definitely making me thinking that, oh, this is a little bit scary. I should probably have battled Butler a little bit sooner, potentially, but at the same time, at the very least, you know, it won't be destroyed this turn. This Natasha is actually really what's going to scare me, and it's actually going to end up prolonging this game. This is definitely the most annoying card in Drytron's, in my opinion. And the funny thing is, like, if I just, I don't know. I actually kind of thought about like sacking the Ripborn Roaster earlier in the turn and not using Meow Meow Moo's effect. And if I'd actually done that, then having everything in defense mode would have kept Natasha from being able to steal the Battle Butler by coming back here. But it's also just a case of coulda, woulda, shoulda. You can't beat yourself up over decisions you've already made in that way. So it's definitely good to analyze decisions you've already made, but that's like a post-game thing. That's not to, you know, your only thought during the game should be like, you know, making the best play given the current circumstances, regardless of how you got there. Okay, so yeah, at this point they are going to use my Battle Butler, which is so devastating. Like, honestly, that was a really, really good steal on the opponent's part. Like, as much as, you know, I could have prevented it, like, I do have to give kudos to my opponent for definitely just wrecking me there. But we do still have access to DPE. I want to be a little bit careful because if Natasha goes to graveyard again, there's still always the potential for her to come back and steal my monsters. They don't have another Cyber Angel card in their graveyard right now. It could still be very easy for them to get one, but I think all the same, because of that, I'm not going to bother using DPE just yet. We'll definitely wait on that. Of course, they'll send the Natasha to graveyard themselves with the Drytron here, but I guess in that regard, I probably should have popped the DPE now that I think about it, but I don't know. I don't think it would have completely hindered them from making plays. So interestingly, they use an Orange Herald in this Maxx. I don't know if that was the right call, honestly. I mean, I've actually never played Drytron, so I can't speak too much, but I feel like given that I have the DPE up, I don't know, I guess I do understand the desire to negate Maxx because this deck does have a lot of draws. It just seemed a little, I don't know, during the actual game it seemed like my opponent shotgunned it really quickly, and I thought that maybe it should have required at least a little bit more thought, but again, I also don't know that I can critique. I mean, to be fair, like we can see here, they end up getting another Orange Herald later anyway, so and again, I don't know how fair it is that I critique a deck that I haven't personally played. So yeah, I'll definitely use the Imperm on the Diviner here, just because I know the level adjustment, not even just for like the effect in the search, but I know also the level adjusting ability can sometimes make for some wacky plays. Okay, yep, here they're going for the Union Carrier, which is just about the only thing I think they can really do at this point, equipping the Eva, and yeah, they pass back to us, so but yeah, no, we definitely managed to avoid any kind of like serious shit going down there during that turn, which is always welcome against Drytrons, even when they're like, you know, quote unquote gutted, I guess. I don't know if you could even call them gutted, even though they're not popular because they've had hits in the past. It's still definitely kind of a scary deck to play against in that regard. So I'm going to use the Draco back here to actually bounce the Eva and not the Union Carrier, because I don't want the Eva. If I bounce the Union Carrier, the Eva will go to the graveyard, and then they'll get a search for 2 more fairies, and I definitely don't want that to happen. So it's a little bit counterintuitive to use the Draco back on an equip card, not just the monster that it's equipped to, but in this scenario, it was definitely the optimal line, I think, here. So yeah, we're definitely going to Ash this Thurbin, although I did see them pitch one of the other Cyber Angels. I don't remember which one that is off the top of my head. Oh, Edison, yeah. So Edison did get pitched, which means you have to be Natasha can come back. However, they're just taking an adventure token. I don't really care about that. I don't care if they gain 1,000 and deal 3,000 to me. I'm at 10,000 life points, so it's like whatever. Like I said, not a particular concern of mine. I'm trying to know what they're going for here. Okay, yeah, this is when they would go for the Beta Fafnir. And at this point, I just decided to Nibiru and be done with it, because, again, I don't need them setting up anymore. My opponent's already in a fairly, not very, but fairly precarious position, where they're, like, kind of on the, teetering on the edge of being able to summon out a big ritual monster, but haven't done it quite yet. So, definitely don't want to afford them any unnecessary opportunities. But definitely I'm going to Nibiru in response to this downward, because I don't need a Zeus in my life. I don't need that in my life right now. But I think the opponent's actually going to end up getting a Zeus anyway, if I recall. Or, no, okay. Oh, they just add an Orange Herald, that's what it was. I knew they had some kind of negate. So here we rep a Crossout Designator. Is definitely not what we're looking for. We can at least take out the token with our Nibiru, but like even with the other effect monster. Oh, but that's right, here I misplayed because I forgot to set and then do celestial draws, you know, before I started going into plays. I don't know that it was actually even that much of a misplay, because like I wouldn't have access to, you know, this call by, or I mean, this crossout, nor this a droplet for this turn. The crossout more than the droplet I wanted access to during the turn there. Okay, so here is their Drytron Fafnir now getting the Nova. I do have the Maxx in response to that, so there is that much solace at least. And it does end up resolving. I kind of figured it would, because I'm trying to figure out if I'm trying to remember if we know for sure both cards in the opponent's hand. Is one, was it? Oh, I'm not gonna remember at this point, but I think I am actually thinking of a different game now that I think about it. In any case, we did actually get to resolve a Maxi this time, which is definitely very, very nice against Drytron. This is, I don't know, sometimes it's a teensy bit scary just because they do summon so much, but we do only have 11 cards at this point, but still, I don't think they're going to summon that much. Like I touched upon earlier, they are still going to be able to go for Zeus here, even though I stopped the Downward Magician last time. But because I stopped Downward Magician, they don't have one to overlay. It's only going to be 4 materials instead of, or sorry, 3 materials instead of 4, which means that I can, as long as I can get around 1 negate, which I know I can, then I don't really have to be concerned about it at all. I can use the Droplet to get rid of the extra Fusion Destiny here. Alright, now we're going to go for some fairly standard, relatively standard Prank-Kids stuff, you know, linking the first kid into the Meow Meow Moo, using Dropsies, and then since our opponent has a monster on board, we can even chain block with the place. Because again, if your opponent has a monster in play, the place lowers that monster's attack by 500 when you summon a Prank-Kids Link monster. And then if you summon a Prank-Kids Fusion monster, you can chain block the other way because the what you call it? You can chain block the other way because blah, 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 blah. Jesus, I'm doing the thing again where I lose track of my sentence halfway through. Yeah, I'm totally sorry about that. That's my fault. In any case here, we are able to effectively stop this Zeus and keep it from messing us up. And from here, we're able to then, like I said, go into some actual Prank-Kid. For like the first time this game on what, turn 9, or on turn 9, we're able to actually finally do our Prank-Kid stuff. But that's one of the cool things about Prank-Kids Adventure is that, like, because you're able to, you know, in such a relatively small deck, I mean 40 cards is the minimum, and it is what most decks are, but a lot of decks that are playing the Adventure engine are going like above 40 in order to do so. So the fact that we can get away with it while still playing 40, as you can see, yeah, we're still going to have games where we don't get a Prank Kid right away, but those games are still like very much winnable. As you can see, even if the opponent had been at 8,000 here, we still would have had more than enough damage to finish them off for lethal. So yeah, just another solid game I wanted to show off there that we had. Alright, let's go and take a look at the next game. Okay, next duel coming up, and I'm trying to remember, I actually don't recall off the top of my head if I went first or second for this, but I guess we'll see now here in a moment. Okay, I thought this was the other going second game. Good, I was hoping that was the case. So yeah, this is another going second game we had. Our hand's like okay, we do have an Imperm for Disruption on turn 1. Actually, the rest of our hand does look pretty fantastic. The Call by, the Place, the Fusion Destiny. The Drinkerback obviously could be something a little bit better, but definitely still not the worst thing we could have. Yeah, so I'll definitely, like I said, Imperm, or not like I said, but I'm going to Imperm this Ash, or this, not Ash, Owlbear, so that way, yeah, they don't get too much free advantage here. They are still going to have the Dramaturge and a Poly, so they do get to still tax me with the Masquerade, but we actually rip Droplet off the top of the deck, which is always a you know, was the prequel meme a surprise to be sure, but a welcome one. But yeah, we definitely take those, suffice it to say. I'll send the Dracoback in the Place to negate both my opponent's monsters here, because obviously the Dramaturge is also more than capable of messing us up. So now from here I can normal the Dropsies, go into Meow Meow Moo, and then just do fairly standard like one Prank-Kids card combo line, the quote-unquote one-card combo. Which does actually require at least one other card in hand if you want to use Rocksies, which, you know, most of the time you have to for this combo. So I am having to be mindful of, do I banish the Call by or the Fusion Destiny, given that my opponent only has 2 cards in hand and that they haven't responded with a card in hand up to this point, I think banishing Fusion Destiny, or not Fusion Destiny, Call by the Grave, is ultimately going to be a fairly safe bet, and you know, the Fusion Destiny can help accelerate the, I guess, the overall pace of the game as well to, you know, just to make sure that the game's not dragging out too long or anything like that. Okay, here is the Lampsies. Yeah, like I said, this is all fairly safe. If you want to see, like, when I refer to things like the 1 Prank-Kid line or the 2 Prank-Kid line, if you're curious what I mean and how the combos exactly play out, do feel free to check out the description where you will find a link to my combo guide for this deck for adventure. It is for adventure Prank-Kids specifically as well. We talk about not only what to do with certain opening hands, but also how to play through like Ash and Nibiru and stuff like that. So yeah, definitely a solid opening on our part here, being able to do the Prank-Kid line and then still have access to a DPE at the end, as well as a Maxx in hand. Definitely feels very, very good. And we even have a draw on top of that, which is a Lampsies, which is like, yeah, whatever, you know, a Prank-Kid. We definitely don't mind that too much. Alright, now as always, as ever, I'm going to use the effect of Bow Wow Bark during the draw phase. That way, in case my opponent just had like some kind of kaiju effect, they wouldn't be able to yeah, use it in order to stop me from being able to make the Battle Butler. Blah, words again. Which we are in fact making right here, the Battle Butler. I want to drop this definitely in response to probably whatever card my opponent's going to fuse with, which looks like is going to end up being this branded in red. It's actually nice that my opponent's got 2 Alibers on the board as I'm planning to do this, because I think it'll make it a little bit less likely that the fusion's actually going to like end up resolving with just the cards in their hand. But either way, I'm going to summon out all my Prank-Kids, make sure they can't be destroyed, and then just end up going for Verte Anaconda, which is like, oh, whatever, that's fine. I'll definitely just pop that with the DPE. And actually, they're not done yet. From there, they go for Ecclesia. And at that point, I'm like, okay, well, thank God I at least have Maxx. This is just one of those games where just like, it seems like we're both kind of exhausting each other. Where you know, they're like, I have a play. Do you have an out? And I'm like, okay, well, I have an out, but do you have another play? And they're like, yeah, we have another play. Just like go back and forth like that. But I don't know. It's definitely merit to games like that in Yu-Gi-Oh. Not even just merit in general, but I mean, I definitely personally value games like that a lot in Yu-Gi-Oh. I feel like it's the best way to like learn from other players, you know, and anyone who's seen like my viewer specials or to the end of most of my videos knows just how much value I do put in that community-based learning there. And sure enough, we did manage to get them to not really waste, but we forced them into a scenario where they had to use branded red less than optimally by using Battle Butler there. We did have to tribute the Battle Butler, which obviously is not like ideal, but as you can see, that's still enough for us to get lethal there. So definitely don't be afraid to tribute Battle Butler, I guess, in situations that you find yourself in like that. Okay, yeah, I think that's actually going to do it since we had some longer games for this video, for this one. So let's go ahead and move on now to the outro. Okay, everybody, thank you very much for watching, especially all the way to the very end like this. That does mean a whole lot to me, not only personally, but as a means of supporting the channel as well. Same goes for those who are commenting and or subscribing. Also, again, means a lot and are great ways of supporting the channel. Comments, as always, as ever, I am very eager to hear from you about tips for deck building, gameplay. Like I said earlier, you know, community-based learning is definitely the way to go, and by leaving comments like that, you not only help me improve my game, but also the people watching as well to get a like full, I guess, more complete view of what can be done, as opposed to just what I can, you know, show and talk about. So yeah, and then subscribing, if you do so, you can stay up to date on when my videos drop, which does happen every single day, so you do get to look forward to daily Master Duel content when you subscribe. But yeah, that's gonna do it for this one. So without further ado, this is XLex signing out. Hope you guys have a fantastic day.